Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is a really exciting one. I'm going to be showing you how I made these light up Enchanted Rose inspired ears. I did make a set of these for my friend Heather over at the Disney Housewife quite a while ago. I will have that video linked in the description box below if you would like to see her unboxing them. But I did get some requests for this tutorial, so I went ahead and made another pair. As always, I've listed the materials in the description box below, but to start off, you're going to need some fabric. I chose this stained glass fabric from Hobby Lobby and Joann's, actually. These red roses that I got for 97 cents from Walmart. The Dollar Tree ones are a little bit too large for this. A 1-inch headband I have linked in the description box below, as well as a small battery pack string of LED lights. Again, description box below has a link. And these clear ornaments that open up. Again, description box below, these are from Oriental Trading Company. You are also going to need a hot glue gun and hot glue sticks and some coordinated trim. I went with this gold kind of braided trim. I'm going to give you guys a close-up once I start working with it. So to start off with your fabric, you're going to want to cut it into a 6 by 7 inch square. And then we are going to go in with our hot glue gun. I am just going to fold mine into a 3/4 fold. I think that's what it's called. No, 1/3 fold? Sure, I'm just making numbers up. Put a dot of hot glue on each corner of one side, and then you're going to fold it into the center and tap down where you placed that hot glue. There is no need to hem this bow. We're going to use the trim to close up the edges, so don't worry about that. And then you're going to repeat this by putting a dot of hot glue on each corner of the opposite side, folding it into the center, and then tapping down the hot glue. I did want the enchantress on the front of my fabric, so make sure when you cut your fabric that you are getting whatever images you want, and I would make sure that they're a little bit closer to the edge, because once you scrunch your bow in the center like I am, you will a lot of the time lose the image that you're wanting, which is why I took so long scrunching my bow. But once you have your fabric pinched in the center, kind of how you like it, go ahead and grab your hot glue gun. And then you're going to put a dot of hot glue in between these folds to secure it. You are going to want to hold this in place for a moment just to let the hot glue dry. And then you're going to take a thin strip of the same fabric, put a dot of hot glue on the bottom, press it down to the bottom of the bow, and then you're going to wrap it around. I like to snip off the excess first, then put a little dot of hot glue and press down the other edge. I did not wrap my center very tight. I wanted this bow to be able to stay kind of large, but the tighter you wrap your bow, the more it will condense that center. So for the edges, I'm actually not going to hem these with my hot glue gun. I am just going to take my trim and glue them onto the sides, but we're not going to do that just yet. Next, I'm going to take my roses and I'm going to snip off a little bit of the stem, I would say about 2 inches worth. And then I'm going to take out my clear glass ornaments. I do want to warn you guys, I got a giant pack of these from Oriental Trading and some of them were quite scratched up. And then I'm going to be using this small battery pack string of LED lights. I do get these in a value pack from Amazon. I think you get a great bang for your buck. You get like a pack of 12 and I think it's like $8 or something like that. Okay, so I'm going to count out my lights. I do have 20 lights on this strand, so I'm going to use about 8 inside of each rose, and then you'll need 2 so that you can string the lights across the headband to the other side. So what I'm doing is taking my lights and I'm just kind of wrapping them around the bottom of the rose first, and then I'm going to start kind of weaving them in and out of the petals to give the rose the illusion that it is glowing. I did use a little dot of hot glue just to secure one of the light bulbs because it kind of kept slipping on me as I was trying to do this, but I didn't need to do that last time, so I'm not really sure what was different this time. But yeah, I'm just kind of weaving it toward the center and then back out toward the edge. And then I'm also just trying to make sure that I don't have like 3 bulbs all in the same spot. So now I'm going to take my rose and I'm going to glue it into the ornament. I am going to fold the bottom of this. I do like to use needle nose pliers for this, not my fingers, because I want like an exact bend, but I have done it with my fingers before. I am adding a little dot of hot glue and then reinserting the stem of the flower because my flowers kept kind of falling off of their stem. And I obviously don't want that to happen inside of the ear because you won't be able to fix it at that point. So I'm just going to add a little bit of hot glue to the bottom where this stem is folded, and then I'm just going to firmly press that down onto the edge of the ornament. Something I do want to point out to you guys is that these ornaments have a little eye on the end where you can put a hook through, and you want to make sure that that eye is going to be behind your bow. So make sure that you are putting the rose inside of the ornament where you can hide that, or you can actually just use scissors and snip it off, which I did have to do on the other side. I will show you guys because I did not pay attention to that the second time. Now this wire is so thin you're actually able to just clamp this ornament shut and it doesn't mess up the wire in any way. I have made several pairs like this and had no issues. And then I'm going to apply a thin line of hot glue and press down my trim. You actually don't need to use you don't need to cover the entire ear in trim because a lot of it is going to be hidden by the bow and or glued onto the headband, but I did cover my entire ornament this time around. I'm just saying if you're trying to conserve trim, you don't really need to do this all the way around the ear. And then you can just snip off the excess and glue down the last of the edge. So next we are going to move on to the second ear, and again I'm going to have 2 of these bulbs, I believe, in between the ears. So I'm getting my headband and just kind of checking the placement to make sure that I'm not like making the string too tight where it's not really going to fit. I do have this ear spacing template in the description box below for you guys. It just helps you get kind of a nice space from ear to ear and make sure that your ears are centered on the headband. I find it very helpful. I still use it every time I make ears, and I mean it's free, so why not? But I'm just repeating this process of wrapping the lights around my ear. Again, just saying it one more time, do make sure that you leave a gap in between your ears, or the light strand, so that you can have a gap between the ears. And then just do the same step of wrapping the lights and kind of weaving them in and out of the petals. Now with your battery pack, it is going to be hidden inside of the bow, so make sure that your wire is going back toward the center of the ears and not onto the side of the headband. So this is where my ornament rolled on me and I didn't notice, and that's why that little eye ended up poking upward. So I'm going to take some scissors and just snip it off, and then I'm going to do the same on the other side. And then close up my ornament and apply my trim. Now I did have a little bulb that was kind of poking out too much, so it's called tacking, but I basically just took my hot glue gun, put a little tiny dot on the petals, pressed them together, and it's called tacking them together. Now that both ears are done, we are going to move on to placing them onto our headband. So again, I'm taking that ear spacing template and I am going to start with the first one, apply not a huge amount of hot glue, and then just firmly press it down onto my headband. This one I am going to slow down so you guys can really see how much hot glue I'm using. So just about 2 pumps, and then I'm going to firmly press this one onto my headband as well. We are going to go in and secure this with a little bit of trim around the base, but I will say if you are, careful with your ears, then this should be fine for you. They are definitely a little bit more on the fragile state than just a fabric set, but again, if you do these kind of like reassuring steps, you'll be okay. I do add a little bit of extra hot glue once my first layer has dried into the corners. And then next we are going to hide the light switch pack. So I am going to actually slide it into the side of the bow this time. And we did create a little pocket earlier, so that pocket is actually going to give us access to the batteries as well as the switch. We are going to hot glue this battery pack into place, so make sure that where you're applying the hot glue is not the side with the little screws on it. That way if you do need to unscrew the top of it and replace the batteries, you still have access just by kind of unfolding your bow and doing it that way. So I'm just going to apply a little bit of hot glue now that my battery pack is inserted in the bow and press this down into the center of the headband. Now I did decide to add a second bow onto the back because I did not like that I could still see some of the wiring. That is totally optional, but just repeat the same steps that we did earlier for the bow, and then you can add a bow onto the back and make your ears double-sided. Next, I'm going to go in with my trim and finish off this bow. I did lose a little bit of this footage, but it's not complicated, guys. I'm just going to add some hot glue to the edge of my ear, or you can put it on the back of the trim, whichever you prefer. And then I'm just going to firmly press it down onto the edge of the bow, and then wrap that trim around and do the exact same thing on the other side of that edge. And then repeat. So now that the bow is all done and trimmed up, I'm going to go in and reinforce these ears. So I'm adding a little bit of hot glue, I'm pressing down the edge of my trim, and then I am wrapping it around the base and I'm adding hot glue as I go. I'm going to go ahead and snip off the excess and then finish gluing this piece. I do prefer to apply the hot glue to the trim. I feel like it gives me a little more control and I am less likely to get hot glue on my hands this way. And then I'm just going to repeat this step on the other side just to give that ear a little bit of more support on this headband. I did want to show you guys this is the back, and I didn't really like that I could see these two little lights poking out, so I did make a second bow, and I'm just going to go ahead and go in and glue this down into the back. Also, Walmart sells these little bell buttons. They actually come in a pack of princess buttons. I thought that would be a cute accent, but I did not decide to use it. I just wanted to show it to you guys if you liked it. So now I'm adding in that second bow. Again, just a little bit of hot glue into the center, and then just firmly press it down onto your headband. And then how I mentioned tacking earlier with the dot of hot glue, I did go back in after filming and decided to tack the top ends of the bow together. So right here, where I'm pinching the two tops of the bows together, that's where I added just a little bit of hot glue, so that it looked like more of a cohesive just one bow as opposed to two separate bows. But that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you do end up recreating these, send me a picture on Instagram. I absolutely love seeing that stuff. I really do love these. They're super magical, and I think they would look absolutely beautiful at Disney World or Disneyland, especially at night. Oh my goodness, could you imagine going to be our guest in these? I'm sorry, I'm getting excited just thinking about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and will subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.